Hello, Rei Kazuki here, in order to appreciate my top 5 wholesome dads in anime. So, strained familial relationships are a core part of drama in stories, with anime being no different. And this is a core trope of storytelling for a good reason. We've had a litany of gripping emotional stories involving poor relationships between parent and child, intergenerational trauma, what's the meaning of parenthood, the pressure of child rearing, and how social, cultural, economic, etc. factors influence the relationship between parent and child, are just a few of the interesting topics that these negative relationships allow us to contemplate in stories. And I love all of these things when they're done well. But I don't exclusively want stories like that. Sometimes I want parental figures who make you smile with their presence rather than making you feel sad or contemplative. Here I am choosing to specifically focus on fathers. Between the binary of mom and dad, dads tend to be portrayed as problematic more often. And many dads that aren't toxic still tend to be stoic, taciturn, and otherwise not very affectionate fairly often. This makes sense, considering Japan's traditional familial culture. But that makes me enjoy the wholesome dads that we do get even more. So here I want to talk about the dads who truly do their best for their children and aren't afraid to shower their kids with love. The ones whose positive energy radiates off the screen and makes you feel happy with their mere presence. They don't have to be perfect and completely devoid of drama or negative traits to be wholesome. It's more about the intended tone, with these dads and their respective children not harboring negative feelings towards each other for the bulk of the story. And just because they're more wholesome does not mean they lack substance either. And I want to be clear and say that a character does not have to be blood related to have the title of father, dad, daddy, etc. In this house, we support the stepdads, the dads who stepped up, and the found family members. They deserve all the love and respect biological parents do as well. In the worlds of Marvel Dad Yondu, he may have been your father boy, but he wasn't your daddy. So please be aware, there will be some spoilers for the source material of the anime that I mention here. The first 3 have some details that go beyond the show synopsis, but in my opinion, they won't hurt your experience. The last 2 do have very serious story spoilers, because with them, I really can't talk about how great they are without going into those a bit. So, and those ones will be a little more serious and in-depth. So now, onto the list. At number 5, we have Gunther from Ascendance of a Bookworm. So I'm starting with Gunther because he feels like the standard of a great, loving father who brings that positive energy that I want from a wholesome dad. Gunther is a definition of a proud father who lives to see his daughter succeed. He cries his eyes out over his daughters getting their big day in the spotlight. He supports his daughter's ambitions and will stand up to any force to defend his family. He can be stern, but he always does it from a place of care from his perspective. Mine spends most of her life sickly, and is not as knowledgeable about the world as he is, so it makes sense that he wants to ensure that she does not get hurt or tricked, and again, he doesn't know that she is an isekai person. And he's willing to change his mind when he's shown a good argument. Even when he doesn't want mine to spend less time with him and the family, or go into a profession or space that he doesn't want, he is willing to let her go when he understands that it's the right move or what needs to happen. He's the perfect amount of restrictive but supportive that I think a parent should be, and the care that he has for his kids radiates off the screen. He's not exactly a deep or a gripping character, but being a more simple and standard good dad is not a bad thing. He serves his role in the story very well, and always makes me happy with the love he shows for his kids and his family. So now on to number 4, we have Naoki Gotoh from Bocchi the Rock. So this is a different flavor of a supportive dad. He is the least involved character in this list, but he's still a memorable dad for being wholesome and funny. Though his support is played more goofy than the others, he is still a genuinely good dad. He is a former rock star who couldn't be happier that his daughter is interested in rock as well. He is 100% in support of whatever rock-related activities Bocchi wants to do. After she accidentally breaks a guitar on stage, his guitar, he tells her that she can just buy guitars that are meant to be smashed. When he learns Bocchi is under the tutelage of Hiroi, the crazy rocker, he would be proud if Bocchi became like her, even though she shouldn't, and even Hiroi knows that. Silly support aside, he does genuinely do a lot to help her development in the story. He gave her full use of his old guitar that he had kept in perfect shape and didn't chastise her when she broke it. He monetized Bocchi's videos and saved all that money to give to Bocchi when she needed it. He always encouraged Bocchi to follow her dreams, and like the previous dad, literally cries when she gets her big moments. He may not be an objectively great dad as much as some of the others, but most of these dads are not perfect, and he's a very wholesome and funny one that I really like. So on to number 3, we have a duo here of Rei Suwa and Kazuki Kurusu from Buddy Daddies. Including both of them, you could maybe say it's cheating, but they come as a pair, and together they fuse into the perfect dad. They're the dads who stepped up after killing her actual dad, but he was a bad guy who wanted nothing to do with her, so it's fine. They fall into the type of dads who stumble into their roles rather than directly stepping up to them like a biological parent or a step-parent would. But once they fall into their roles, they are a joy to watch as dads, and they do a pretty good job. Together, they perform the jobs that a parent should be, that they should do for a child. Protecting them, having fun with them, like whether that's letting them mess up your cooking or playing video games with them, giving them food, whether that's high quality food, or letting them have the occasional junk food that they want, and providing a home, whether that's a clean room, or letting them mess up your own stuff. When Miri needs supplies for school, they spend the ridiculous amount of money that it takes. Once they realize how much Miri enriched their lives, they are willing to abandon the old status quo that they thought they wanted, and commit to raising her with everything they have. They aren't perfect, but I love these bumbling assassins who grow into loving dads. And I also love the representation for a family unit that is not normative. And right before we go into number 2, spoilers for the rest of the list. Lloyd Forger from Spy Family is not on here, but I think he fits into the same demographic that the two Buddy Daddies do, so you can effectively put him here. Yeah, he's the honorable mention. And for the next 2, got a little bit into some story spoilers, but with Buddy Daddies, that's all stuff that you can really tell from the premise. But these 2, this is high spoiler, so you can skip ahead or skip to the end if you need to. Going into number 2, we have Byakuya Ishigami from Dr. Stone. So Byakuya is the first of my 2 favorite dads who gave literally everything they had to support their kid. With Byakuya, that's as literal as you can get. When he took in Senku and noticed his passion for science, Byakuya set aside everything he could to give him as much science gear as he could. He sold his car and started biking to work, just to keep his costs as low as possible, and funneled all of that into Senku's experiments. Even after the world was petrified and he was focused on direct survival, Senku was always on his mind. He worked to his last dying breath to get materials that he believed would help Senku someday. He wasn't some genius on the level of Senku, nor did he have some premonition that made him certain Senku was the key to the future. He just believed that much in Senku. He believed Senku would change the world for the better. So, petrification or not, he did everything he could to help his son achieve that reality. The relationship between Byakuya and Senku is truly one of a kind. I really can't talk about Byakuya without talking about Senku too. They weren't the type of parent and child who would tell each other that they love each other directly, but their actions towards each other speak their affection louder than any words could. And that's what really makes them so special. Byakuya did the previously mentioned actions to support Senku's passion for science. Senku recognized this, and used the scientific skills and knowledge that he acquired thanks to Byakuya to support him in becoming an astronaut. They didn't look at the screen and say, I love you I love you with all my heart, so I want to support you. But they don't need to say that. Their actions makes that sentiment very clear. Senku was told from the start that Byakuya wasn't his biological father. He never got the full picture of what happened with his biological father, but he never cared to, and the story itself doesn't care to either. In Senku's own words, who gives a rat's ass about blood? Byakuya was the man who raised him and supported him with everything he's got, so he's his dad. It's that simple. The bond they shared is all that mattered to Senku, and that's how I feel as well. Blood can be a powerful and meaningful thing, but what truly makes us who we are our experiences. And no amount of shared blood on its own makes positive experiences materialize. What truly matters is the actions the people around you take. So who cares that Byakuya isn't his biological father? He is his dad in every way that matters. I consider Byakuya to be the best dad in anime currently, but my favorite goes to the last dad, who is, at number 1, Akio Furukawa from Clannad. Akio is my favorite dad in anime hands down. Ever since I watched Clannad as one of the first anime I saw, he has always stuck in my mind as a fictional father. He is fun, full of personality, and a deeply doting father despite his rough exterior. He is by far the character with the most drama, but he still has a positive relationship between him and the other characters, and wholesome themes and actions that come from his emotional story. And like Byakuya, he literally gave everything he had to raise Nagisa. He gives that heart-wrenching speech that I cried to again when I was researching and writing this, about what being a parent truly means. Akio's lifelong dream was to be a professional actor, and he had the passion to prove it. But after Nagisa's near-death experience when she was young, he changed his dream to hers. The purpose of that speech is that he did not have his dream crushed by having to give up becoming an actor for Nagisa. That's how Nagisa interpreted it. He did not give up his dream, he changed it to be what she wanted. He is happy to slave away making bread, rather than act, if it lets him reach what would truly make him feel fulfilled, seeing Nagisa achieve her dream. This moment has never left my brain, and is what I think of for what a good parent is. Akio not only made the sacrifice needed to make Nagisa happy, but he also did his best to make his child not feel guilty for those sacrifices. Riddling their child with guilt for all the things we did to support you is something that comes up in anime and media as a whole, but is a very real issue. And Akio's example of how a parent and child can have a healthy relationship with that sacrificial involvement, despite that. And speaking of heart-wrenching, at first Akio and Sanae were not exactly neglectful parents, but were not as involved with Nagisa as they should have been. This led to her nearly dying, seeking them out during a snowy day. When he saw her lying in the snow, he got that reality check, and realized how much Nagisa truly meant to him. And the scene of him begging someone to save her is so compelling and in-universe so powerful that the town does actually grant his wish. And while that is very fantastical, the meaning behind a father realizing how much their child meant to them in a scary moment is not. And as well as how he changes afterwards. He quit being an actor so he could pick a job that let him be home all day. And he uses that time to try to make her life as great as he can. It's just the idea of him just like begging on his knees to God, to the universe, to save his daughter. That's just like such a powerful scene. He is a goofy guy on the surface who makes a lot of jokes, which contributes to why I consider him wholesome. But there is more depth to it than just his personality. He intentionally tries to be very wholesome to his family. He developed a more hardened worldview as he raised Nagisa. And part of why he's goofy is because he wants to uplift the mood of Nagisa and Sanae as much as he can. If you don't know Clannad, Nagisa is a very just constantly sickly person. He knows Nagisa could basically die at any moment. He was always aware of that. And his other family members, including Tomoya later, when he officially joins the family, are aware of this too. He puts in a lot of work to make Nagisa's home as positive as it can be. And as we get further into the story, we even see how he becomes a great father figure for Tomoya. He was very harsh on Tomoya, like a stereotypical dad is to prospective lovers to their kid, which also made for good comedy. But you see that it came from a place of wanting to protect Nagisa and also Tomoya. He made Tomoya work his ass off to earn the right to ask for his blessing to marry Nagisa. Not because he wanted to torture him, but because he wanted proof that Tomoya could handle the level of hardships that he would go through caring for Nagisa. He knows anyone who married his daughter would need ironclad commitment to both stick with her throughout the tough times and be able to stay well themselves. And that does end up being very important in the story. He has been through a lot, and he does not take it out on others. Rather, he just wants to make sure everyone around Nagisa can handle what being close to her means. And Nagisa herself, he wants to have as happy of a life as possible, and he really puts in the work to try to make that possible. Akio is not perfect, but is a fantastic dad. He always tries his best to make the best home possible for his family and his child and their loved ones. And that's my top 5 wholesome dads in anime. Gunther, Naoki Gotoh, Rei Suwa plus Kazuki Kurusu, Byakuya Ishigami, and Akio Furukawa. These dads have big differences in personality and actions that they take, but they all commit to protecting and supporting their kids as much as they can, while also making me smile with how exactly they go about showing their love in their own individual way. And there are definitely a lot more great wholesome dads out there, so feel free to tell me any of your favorites. And please don't be too spoilery in the comments, like say, if you're going to spoil something deeper in the story, please say something. Say that. And please let me know if you also like lists like this. I haven't done too many of them, but every once in a while I like to do these. So if you find these interesting, please let me know. And please like and subscribe if you want to see more stuff from me and enjoy this. So yeah, thank you very much.